So this has become a little bit of a beast. Originally, this was just supposed to be me talking about my thoughts of deluxe special editions that we're seeing more and more in the prog community. And I wanted to talk about like when they're worth it, when they aren't, and they're just kind of like a cash grab. I mean, they're all basically cash grabs. You know, we're seeing a lot of big prominent albums, specifically in the prog community, but also within like anything from the 70s, that are starting to reach their 50th anniversary. And we're seeing a lot of those like big deluxe special editions. And I have indulged, and I've bought a number of them. And I wanted to talk about like when they're worth it and when we can kind of take a pass at that, because there have been a number of these like special editions that really are just the album again. And we saw that a lot in, you know, the 40th anniversary of a lot of these albums, when they would just like either remix or remaster an album. And for some of those records, they needed it. You know, they need a little bit of a touch up. They need a little bit of a spit shine. You know, when the sticker price was almost double what you were paying for the original album, that's where I'm like, well, is it really worth it? And you know, I want to use this as a jumping off point for a bigger conversation of like, what can the record industry do to get a leg up of all these streaming services? You know, if you have a YouTube account, or even if you don't have a YouTube account, you can listen to most of these records for free on YouTube. You can listen to most of them for free on Spotify. And if you want to pay for the premium, you can listen to it without advertisements. And so when your literal competition is giving away these records, what can you do to entice people to come back, especially for these legacy albums? You know, why would you shell out 20 or hundreds of dollars, you know, $20 to hundreds of dollars for a record that they already potentially own? You know, let's talk about the album that kicked this all off. Let's talk about the album that kicked this all off. This is the special ultra deluxe version of Close to the Edge. You know, you've got 5 discs, 5 CDs, plus a Blu-ray, and the original LP that's original album remastered. Opening it up, there you go. You've got the CDs here, the original album remixed, and the Blu-ray. And then right in the sleeve up here, you've got the little booklet that comes with it, as well as the original LP. So, you know, this guy was, you know, about 150 Canadian dollars, 150 bucks. Is it worth it? Considering I have the original LP, considering I have the Steven Wilson remixed box set that has Close to the Edge, as well as the Yes album, Fragile, Tales of Topographic Ocean, and Relayered. And I also have, I think, like either the 35th or 40th anniversary that comes with the extra disc that most of the rarities are already on, like the America single version, the America dry mix, the alternative version of And You and I, the studio run through of Siberian Catru, Close to the Edge. Like a lot of these kind of rarities and demos kind of already had. You know, there's a couple of these dry mixes and the Steven Wilson edits of these that I didn't have. What put it over the edge for me was honestly disc 4 and 5, because disc 1, 2, and 3, yeah, you're pretty much getting what you've already had. But disc 4 and 5, and this is what a lot of these albums are doing, and I'm going to show a couple of them. It's the live tour that they did to promote this record. And part of the reason why I bought this is it's the Yes shows, or Yes songs? Yes songs. The Yes Songs run list, just with a couple of the tracks not there, like Perpetual Change isn't there, and a handful of other ones. But with Yes Songs, the mixing is so bad, you know, like it sounds really rough. I think they just scrubbed the mixing soundboard and didn't do too much mastering on there, you know, mixing and mastering. So there's a little bit more of a dynamic on this mix and everything sounds crisp. Yeah, there's a couple dips where, the tape that was running kind of faltered a little bit, but that's few and far between, especially with somebody like me that has a number of bootlegs where it's literally somebody in the audience that's holding up a microphone and hoping that the best comes through. Yeah, that alone was worth the price of admission. Plus, you're getting the album 3 or 4 times over with different mixes, different masterings that I really appreciate. And it also comes with the Blu-ray that has 5 different versions of this record, all by Steven Wilson. You've got the Atmos mix, the 5.1 mix, stereo mix, instrumental mix, and the stereo remaster. So I felt like that in alone was enough for the price of admission. But when you're dealing with so many of these, I also pre-ordered The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, which is coming out in a couple months because that's one of my favorite Genesis records. I also have Fragile and the Yes record, all, the same kind of thing here. And again, it's kind of like the added bonuses. These are the things that you're not getting on streaming sites, unless they release it on streaming sites, which they did with this. So it's like, okay, why do I need to spend $150 if all the music that I'm getting is the music that's found on here? What I really appreciate is some of the extra mixes, some of the different masterings, like the Yes album comes in a mono, which I thought was really interesting. I'm seeing a lot more of these legacy albums coming through and doing things. Another one that I picked up, now this was mainly, the Close to the Edge was mainly CDs and just the one LP. This is the Permanent Waves from Rush, and I talked about this in my Rush record haul. Again, what I mainly picked this up for is, you get the remastered of the original album of Permanent Waves, that's all on here. But it's the Permanent Waves World Tour with a few previously unreleased. I think the only one that's previously unreleased is The Passage to Bangkok. Everything else was released, in other formats. But sure, you're getting, the original album. So the original album's there, and it's a record. And this one's an LP set. So the live record is literally a record. You got the live record here. I bought this because of not only Xanadu, the 5th side is Cygnus X1 and Cygnus X1 Book 2. So, again, you want to make it worth the price of admission. And this one was. It was under $100, and you're getting essentially the studio record plus a full live set, which I thought was fantastic. And this is one of the best Rush live recordings that I've heard kind of ever. Now, one of the things that I've always kind of debated about, switching gears a little bit from the kind of re-release box sets and re-release deluxe things, are those deluxe studio records. I know Dream Theater does that for all their records, where you can get basically one of these where it has, the studio disc, you've got a bunch of the instrumentals, you got demos and all those. And you're kind of buying it without really knowing what to expect on the record. And you're kind of taking a shot in the dark. And when these records aren't cheap, like I said, you're spending over $100 sometimes on a record that you haven't even listened to. I can't do that. I have a plethora of these box sets that I want to show, but I don't have the budget in order to maintain that for every album. One of the few ones that I did do it for, the Black Country New Road. For Ants From Up There. And part of the reason why I bought this, it was twofold. One, I knew that Isaac was leaving, so this would probably be the last one of this iteration of the band. But once again, we have a full live set. It's live from the Queen Elizabeth Hall, which has a bunch of not only this album, but their first record in a live outfit. But again, if I'm spending, quite a bit of money, I want to make sure that I'm getting the bang for my buck. If you're making a special edition, make sure that it's special, that it's a deluxe. You're getting something that's deluxe in there. And I felt like they were within this. So that's one of the few albums that I bought, before I actually listened to it. Another one, and this is a pre-order, and I feel like, this is from Marillion, and I feel like Marillion does a really good job. This is another kind of a box set deluxe. With Happiness is the Road. And you've got part 1, Essence, and part 2, The Hard Shoulder. And it comes in, these individual little books, and it makes it a little bit special, and it's got this little glossy thing. So if I position it for the sun, will it do it? No, maybe not. Oh, there we go. You can kind of see there's that emboss kind of satellite there. So you got the CD right up front, and then you got like this little book, you know, and it makes it special. It makes it more than just the regular album. And that's what I appreciate for these kind of box set items. Let's see here. What's another example? Another example. Another kind of box set. This is the IQ. This is the Archives collection from 2003 to 2017. And again, I'm seeing a lot of artists doing that, and it comes with quite a number of CDs. Like, look at all those. There's like 12. Yeah, 12. The last one's a Blu-ray. This one right there, it's a Blu-ray of the shows. So these are all live records. And again, this one came out to, I think, just under $200. But the fact that I'm getting 12 albums out of that, you know, that's price comparison. You're kind of figuring out what's the bang for my buck here. And most of these, most of them were already released. I know that IQ 20, IQ 30, they were already out there, as well as Tales from a Dark Christmas. The Subterranean concert was also already out there. But you get the frequency tours. You get the remixed, the Road of Bonus, the Road of Bonus, live from the Road of the Bones. Like, those were only available through, you know, fan exclusive things. So the point that I'm trying to make here is you want to make sure that these deluxe things are actually deluxe. You know, like, I've got a bunch of these kind of deluxe things that are just kind of like, I don't know, a ribbon put on something that was already there. Like my big I.O. from Peter Gabriel. It's a great set. It's a great thing. It comes with the 4 vinyl, 2 compact discs, 1 Blu-ray, a hardback book, poster, and then the digital download. And it's just 1 record. Now, it's a beast because there's a lot on there. But if it wasn't given to me by my brother-in-law, I don't know if I would have actually picked it up. Like, I.O. is a great record. I love what they were doing with the 2 mixes, but I don't know if I would have picked it up otherwise, you know? Like, I didn't feel like there was enough variation. I don't think that there was enough in here. If he had included a live rendition or some other material, because it's essentially the album done 2 different ways on 2 different formats. I guess 3 because of the Blu-ray. So this is one of the things where I caution people to, like, yes, there are collectors out there. Yes, there is something about having a complete collection. I'm one of those. But don't go in there buying something for $200 or $300 and only getting a single record. Another example are live things. You know, like I have the full box set of Anesthesize. Man, I wish they had pronounced this a bit better. You know, this is a 4 LP set of the full show. Part of the reason why I got this is I love this show. It's my favorite Porcupine Tree live record. You know, I felt like it was worth it. But it was also not cheap. Like, again, this was over $100 for a single record. It's a live record across 4 discs, but I don't know if it's necessarily worth it. In comparison, let's talk about the Devin Townsend box set of the By the Thread. Here we are getting 5 distinct albums on 4 discs, on 2 discs each. So that's 10 records. And again, it's a singular performance across 4 nights where he does all of Kai, all of Addicted, all of Deconstruction, all of Ghost, and then all the bonus material. So all the encores. And I feel like this is a much better bang for your buck. This was about the same price as the Porcupine Tree Anesthesize. So yeah, this is a deluxe feature. You know, you have the whole set here. You know, I also just love the construction of this with the book. So once again, my main thesis of this is make sure that this deluxe thing is actually a deluxe thing. Another really great example is the ELP box set that I have. You know, this is the Emerson, Lake and Palmer Out of This World from 1970 to 97. This one, even though it was a little bit on the cheaper side for what you're getting 5 live discs, each one being 2 records. So about the same size as the Emerson, Lake and Palmer. This was a little bit more, but there are things that aren't on here that are on the digital streaming and CD versions of this. Part of it is, the inherent loss of, the space that's on a vinyl, but there's also a lot of repeats on here. The amount of times that pictures at an exhibition are on here are massive. There's so many of them. So was this worth the price of admission? Again, it's one of those things. Like, for me, it was, because you're getting 5 different live shows across their career. But I don't know. Yeah, so those are just some of the things that I wanted to kind of touch upon. Then there's also like where these things kind of fall a little bit short. One of my classic examples, one of my favorite box sets, is with my Genesis archive. I've got a couple of these kind of like book box sets. I've got one for Ella Fitzgerald, and I've got the Pink Floyd, Is Anybody Out There? Their, kind of 2-piece set here. This was really big at like the early 2000s, where you have the disc on the one side and a book in the middle, and like, luckily for this, because they only did the wall a handful of times. Just want to make sure that I'm putting it in the right way. It's kind of interesting to have the entire show here, so that you can enjoy it, because up until this point, I don't think you could have listened to the live wall outside of the one that Roger Waters did in like the late 80s when the Berlin Wall came down. There really wasn't a way to listen to the wall. Similarly, this is just Ella Fitzgerald. It's just a bunch of her music. Again, you've kind of got the 2 discs on that side, 2 discs on that side, 4, and a book in the middle. Unfortunately, it was left in the basement, so it's got a little bit of water damage. But yeah, and then finally, let's talk about the Genesis, because if I have nothing else, I have much Genesis box sets. So you've got Genesis archives, 2 discs there. I think both of those are just The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. And then the 2 Genesis items there. I think the first disc is a lot of the rare and live stuff. Half of it, I think, is from the Rainbow Theater show that they did back in 73. And then the other one is basically just from Genesis to Revelation. Some of it's live, some of it's not. This book I've had to replace 2 or 3 times because the glue of it does not hold. So like anytime I read it, I always have to crack it like this and make sure that like you can already hear it, right? Like a little bit already there. Anytime I open this, man, I'm terrified of the pages just falling out because the glue does not hold. And this, of course, wasn't cheap either. So, yeah. The final one is like the box sets. Like literally, this is a box. Again, I'm using Genesis. My Genesis box set of their albums from 1970 to 1975. It's a literal box with their CDs there. It's like I have the Beatles box set. I was too lazy to bring it over to do a show and tell of it. It's like if you already have these, having them all in one place is both good, but you're also buying the same record again and again and again. So, like in some cases, at least with this, it was the 2007, I believe, mix of these. Like I've got the Lamb Lies Down on Broadway. I think this is the 2007 mix. So like they had remixed and remastered a lot of these, which I really appreciate it. 2008 mix, which, it brought a lot of these songs really to life. And this also comes with the DVD. So here's my Selling England by the Pound. It has the CD and the DVD. So the DVD also has like interviews, all from 2007. I appreciate that not only do you have the record and it's the new version of the record, like the kind of, pumped up the jam version of the record, but you also have the DVD audio plus visuals. And this also comes with the reissued interviews, the Shepherd Studio, Italian TV, and Bataclan in France. Honestly, I haven't sat down and watched those yet. Maybe I should. Maybe that's what I'll do this afternoon. Again, the thing that I'm always coming back to is just make sure you're getting the bang for your buck for these things. Where everybody and their mother is putting out a live record. The last one I'm going to show here is the Arion's The Theater Equation. And for a lot of these box sets, you're paying an extra $10 just for the, little signing thing. And it's fun, but again, make sure that that's something that you want. So, yeah. Got the extra Blu-ray because the original Blu-ray didn't work. So So yeah, you've got the Blu-ray, you've got the different DVDs on here, you know, and on the back you've got the record itself. So yeah. Anyway, that's kind of what I've got for today. It's a little bit of a show and tell. I apologize for that. Most of the time, you know, outside of the record hauls that I do, I don't necessarily do a lot of these show and tells. But that just kind of shows you what kind of box sets and deluxe editions that I'm always looking for when it comes to these things. There's got to be something special. There's got to be some kind of exclusiveness to justify the price tag for it. I am a sucker for a good box set, as you could see. But I also want to make sure that I'm getting that bang for the buck that I'm essentially getting. Yeah, I think that's essentially it. I hope that makes any kind of lick of sense, because I kind of rambled on for a while there. But let me know what kind of box sets you have. Do you spring for the deluxe version of whatever box set or whatever it is that you're watching or listening to? I want to know, has anybody actually, I mean, they must have, gone for those like deluxe pre-release records? As I mentioned, I know Dream Theater has done a bunch of them. I've never done it. You know, I've never done the big box set. The closest that I got to are these. You know, it's the re-releasing of records that I already love. Like Genesis is doing The Lamb Lives Down on Broadway, but guarantee if they had done one for The Selling England by the Pound or Foxtrot, or if they do it for Trick of the Tail or Wind and Wuthering, I'm going to be first in line to pick up those guys. Let me know if you've picked up any of those or if you just continue to stream. I want to know what your experience with those are. Have there been any box sets that have kind of bitten you in the arse and you're kind of saddened that you had picked those up? Let me know about your experience and all that by commenting down below. Also, let me know if you like these more free-flowing things. I know through the algorithm and through my analytics that most people don't make it to the end of these album reviews or these videos. So if you did make it to the end of this and you want to see more of them, please let me know by commenting down below. I'd love to go through more in-depth kind of showcasey videos like this, talking about my box sets, special editions, things like that. Because I just love kind of showing off my collection. You know, like it's one thing for me personally to enjoy these kinds of things, but you know, whenever I get a music lover that comes over to my apartment and they get to see some of these things, you know, I always love talking about it, and I love talking about what makes these items special and why I bought them. So yeah, let me know all about that. Commenting down below, please. This was a fun time, and I want to know what you guys thought about it. So yeah, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. So thank you all so much for watching. As always, you guys are definitely the best. And until next time, notes out.